last 24 hours. Powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.
Good morning! It's either a video or a vacation. We'll see soon why. Today is Yad Kislev, Yites Kislev, Tuesday Parshas Vayeshev, Tufshin Pai Vuv, On Edge, and it's December 9th, Tufshin 25. My name is Gershy Schwarcz and I'm your host, On Edge. Pleased to meet you. Today, from a shaking Japan, shaking Canada, Alaska, to a $1 trillion China, a fallen Assad regime, celebration, Gaza talks, Noam's getting fired or bonus checks, and Trump's golden fleet, and a goy promoting Shmiras Shabbos. The entire world feels like it's moving at once. So, on edge, I guess. To enter the raffle, which raffle? We said yesterday, there's a raffle happening this Erev Chanukah on this Sunday for the PENPAL collection, the PENPAL device with a collection of books in Yiddish for your children. To enter the raffle, call 845-671-1775, text us, WhatsApp us, or press 5 when you call the number. Leave your name and phone number very clearly and say the words PENPAL on Edge, not PayPal, PENPAL on Edge. The drawing, like I said, the goyrel will take place this Sunday, Erev Chanukah. PENPAL, the pen that talks and that every kid is talking about. PENPAL is a collection of wonderful, amazing books in Yiddish for all ages and all stages using a smart little pen device that will transform how your child reads books or plays games. The child opens the book, touches the page, any character on the page, any shape on the page, with a pen with two modes. PENPAL reads the story out loud, interacts with them, and plays fun games with them, like I said. Buy it as a Chanukah Purim or whatever kind of present you want for your kids in all toy and Judaica stores and major supermarkets, okay? So like I said, PENPAL grows with a child. New books keep on being added to the amazing collection, and it's super simple to load. PENPAL. Remember to enter the raffle. Dozens of civilians are dead or wounded, and hundreds of thousands of people are fleeing their homes as the war between Cambodia and Thailand once again explodes along their shared border. Thai forces have launched airstrikes and heavy artillery against Cambodian positions, turning border towns and villages into active war zones. This round of fighting comes only months after the ceasefire in July that President Donald J. Trump helped broker, which stopped a 5-day war but did not resolve the deeper dispute. That deal has now collapsed after new landmine explosions and border incidents happened, and both countries are back at full combat with civilians once again caught in the middle. Okay, Secretary Marco Rubio, urged both sides to immediately cease hostilities, protect civilians, and return to the de-escalatory measures outlined in the Kuala Lumpur Peace Accords. Speaking of wars, in Ukraine, the army is facing a serious manpower crisis with prosecutors saying more than 50,000 soldiers have deserted and about 235,000 have gone absent without leave since the full-scale war with Russia began 3-something years ago. A former deputy chief of staff says bluntly that the number of our deserters, servicemen, gone AWOL, is too high. And many Ukrainians now say they prefer prison to being sent back to the front lines. Imagine that. Donald J. Trump says it is time for Ukraine to hold presidential elections. He said Ukraine is using war not to hold an election and warned that if people cannot vote, it is not a democracy anymore. Trump added that maybe President Zelensky would win, but the Ukrainian people should have that choice. Okay, Canada has reported the strongest, most powerful 7.0 magnitude earthquake that shook parts of Canada and Alaska over the weekend. People in several communities reported strong shaking, but there were no immediate reports of major damage, mass casualties. Emergency teams checked buildings and infrastructure, and local officials warned residents to stay alert for the aftershocks if they happen. Speaking of earthquakes, a powerful magnitude 7.5 earthquake has shaken northern Japan, injuring at least 23 people and sending a tsunami of about 60 centimeters into the coast before warnings were lifted. Homes and roads were damaged, trains were stopped, and thousands of people spent the night in shelters while officials warn that strong aftershocks may continue. While Japan deals with a natural disaster, Honduras is dealing with its political past. Prosecutors there have issued an international arrest warrant for former President Juan Orlando Hernandez, only weeks after President Trump pardoned him from a 45-year U.S. drug trafficking sentence. He is now wanted at home on money laundering and fraud charges tied to stolen public funds from his earlier campaigns. And in the Middle East, Syria is marking 1 year since Bashar al-Assad was toppled. The new leadership is holding parades and speeches led by, we all know him as Ahmad al-Shara, the once Al-Qaeda terrorist participant, while families of former detainees will still say they have no answers about loved ones who disappeared during the war and during the Assad regime. What a terrible nightmare that was, living in Syria during those times. That now, hopefully, Syria will once again come to the table, to the Abraham Accords, and join all the other countries that are already there. We heard now that Bolivia has finally signed peace deals and security deals between Israel and Bolivia. Okay, Israeli jets pounded Hezbollah targets across southern Lebanon overnight in a wave of strikes that the IDF said hit launch sites and training compound used by the group's elite Radwan force to plan attacks on Israeli civilians. As the Northern Front heats up, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met in Jerusalem with U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, to discuss the next phase of the Gaza ceasefire, regional security, humanitarian aid, and how to secure the return of the last hostage's body, which we're all waiting for, Rangvili. President Trump plans to host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the 29th day of December, which is 2 days before the last day of the year, at the White House to push the next phase of his Gaza plan and wider regional security deals. Before the meeting, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and, well, we call him not Defense Secretary, we call him the War Secretary Pete Hegseth, Department of War, right? Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane will brief the bipartisan Gang of Eight on classified national security issues, including Gaza, Iran, and recent American military operations in Venezuela. At the same time, including obviously ISIS, targeting ISIS members in Somalia. At the same time, Israeli hostage officials say Hamas and the International Committee of the Red Cross have still not managed to find the remains of Master Sergeant Rangvili, the final deceased Israeli hostage believed to be buried somewhere in Gaza, in Gaza City's Zaytonian neighborhood under rubble from earlier fighting. Inside the army, 4 IDF commandos from Maglan unit have been sent to military prison after they've left a sleeping comrade behind in a building during an operation in the West Bank town of Kabatia. He was alone for about 40 minutes before he rejoined another force and was evacuated safely. On the economic side of the world, well, England is seeing major rising costs in groceries, and China has just crossed a historic line with its 2025 trade surplus passing $1 trillion for the first time ever. That means that they are selling more things than they can buy. This happened even though the exports to the United States fell under high tariffs and Chinese companies had to redirect sales to Europe and Asia. U.S. President Donald J. Trump announced a $12 billion aid package to help American farmers impacted by his trade policies, with Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said that most funds will go to row crop farm and be dispersed by February 2026. President Trump is kicking off a cross-country economic tour today in Pennsylvania to defend his economic record and address rising costs. Democratic senators plan a bill to ban minting any currency with the likeness of a living, sitting president, targeting the Treasury's draft $1 Trump coin. Now, talking about money, go invest in the S&P 500. It's a great investment. Tech retirement funds, etc. You know, you'll need it when you marry off your kids. Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach, sure. Like, I know. It's complicated, you know. Where do I start? What app do I download? No, you don't have to download any app. You just call Brightpath. Brightpath helped me and helped many others in this exact scenario, okay? I was in the same time, I also had all these questions. What do I do if I'm on government programs? What do I do with taxes and all the other stuff that I don't know about investing in the stock market? So, trusted by hundreds of Ingelites who are all set, Baruch Hashem, thanks to Brightpath. They have a brighter path to their future investments. Call or WhatsApp him at 929-675-9115. That's Brightpath. You can WhatsApp him and send him the code ONEDGE for a 10% discount. He comes down to you, takes a one-time fee with a 10% discount of ONEDGE, and he just sets you up. He doesn't touch your money. That's Brightpath. Okay, Congress is threatening to freeze War Secretary Pete Hegseth's travel budget to force him to hand over the full boat strike video. Like I said, I began the segment today with either it's a video or you get the vacation. Video from the deadly September 2nd operation of Venezuela. It would freeze 25% of his travel funds until the footage of all the American strikes, the U.S. strikes on the drug boats, is released. Donald J. Trump said he will now leave it up to Hegseth to decide whether to release the video after earlier saying there would be no problem making it public. Well, he had a fight with ABC News about it, whether he did say it or didn't say it. I'm not going to go through that anyway, but you all know how it works. Congress to Hegseth. No video, no vacations. Okay, on the legal front, the American Supreme Court in America is hearing a major campaign finance case tied to Vice President J.D. Vance and the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which would strike down limits on how much party committees may spend in the coordination with their candidates. Understood? Democratic Republican Jasmine Crockett of Texas is jumping directly into a U.S. Senate run against Republican Senator John Cornyn and telling Trump on stage, "I'm coming for you," as Democrats look for a path back to the Senate majority. Inside the administration, the White House is loudly rejecting rumors that Trump is thinking about firing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, calling one critical report total fake news and insisting she is doing a great job carrying out his security agenda. Back at home, Kristi Noem spent Monday at Tampa International Airport handing out $10,000 bonus checks. So if you're a TSA agent and you stay there, mazel tov to you. You got $10,000 bonus checks from America for selected TSA officers who worked without pay during the 43 or 45 day government shutdown? I don't remember. I think it was 43. A move praised by some workers but criticized by unions because only a small share of staff will receive them. Yeah. President Trump has approved what the Navy is calling the Golden Fleet Plan, a new long-term mix of American-built warships and large numbers of unmanned drone boats that would reshape U.S. naval power, even though many costs and designs are still not settled. Let's talk about what's not settled. Your business, if you're running on your own. Well, you're running like a headless chicken, as they call it. Reb David Wanunu is here to reshape your business and settle your business, knowing the costs and knowing the design of your business, helping you understand and be aware of the design and the costs and whatever you need in your business. If you're a creative, he will shape that into your head, knowing that you are a businessman. Get in touch with him. We had an episode here on Spin the Edge. You can go check it out. The last one. You can check it out in Yiddish. It's also on Kol Mevaser. You can listen to it on Kol Mevaser and press 118. Call him on 845-414-8100, or you can check it out on edgenews.com as well. But call him on 845-414-8100. It's also on my YouTube channel. Acting U.S. Attorney Alina Habba has resigned as the top federal prosecutor in New Jersey after a federal appeals court ruled that her appointment broke the vacancies law and was therefore invalid. The court has already thrown out large parts of her recent work, and the Justice Department now has to rebuild the office's leadership, while the White House continues to blame Senate Democrats for blocking Trump's permanent nominee. A new book was released today, Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring Shabbos Will Transform Your Life, or like he writes it, why honoring the Sabbath will transform your life. A journey of faith, love, and dedicating time to family, written by the late Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed during one of his famous college campus tours in Utah. Before we continue, a quick word from our sponsors. Shawarma Delight. If you're ever in Muncie, on the way to the airport, make it on the way to the airport, I said, on the way to work, or the way back from work, you want a good supper. Shawarma Delight. For those people who eat shawarma in the morning, I don't mind. 26 Spring Valley Marketplace. It's just right next to, what's it called again? Next to Bingo, SDNY.store. Mention on Edge for a free drink. YS Capital Group. If you need some money to to invest in a building, 718-831-2168. That's YS Capital Group. That's it. Yeah, YS Capital Group. They say no to closing costs, and they have this no doc closing costs. No closing costs loan. So you could call them and ask them about it. 718-831-2168. Arrive Express, 845-622-1111. Arrive Express. And 845-254-1111. That's Arrive Express. Now, Protobytes. You all know Protobyte. Protobyte designs apps and websites. Well, they design a whole system all in one. Protobyte 347-354-1237. The all-in-one kind of, website and app designer. Historical facts of the day provided to you by The Click. Now, before I go to the historical facts of Yad Kislev, of Yitas Kislev today, which is a major Yom Tov for Lubavitch Chassidus and Mechlal for Chassidus in general, just now I just heard that Reb Chanan Yesinai David Chesed Halberstam, known to all the Lubavitch Chassidim, who served as a personal mashbach to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zecher Tzaddik Kudosh Avrucha, and the Rebbetzin, and was the father of Ari Halberstam Hashem Yinkem Dumoy, who passed away. Remember the terrorist attack that happened in Manhattan. This person passed away, the mashbach passed away last night, Yitas Kislev, And it is obviously going to be remembered as a Yotzai today on the same day as the Magid of Mezrich. Yites Kislev is a double Chassidish Yom Tov. Why? On Yites Kislev, 5,533 L'Shayshis and Ma'berayshis, and that's 1772 for those who want to know. L'Mispuram. And Doiv Be'er Ben Avruam, Zeichet Tzaddik V'Kudosh Avruch, the Magid von Mezrich, passed away in Anapel after telling the Balatanya, Reb Shnei Zalman, that Yites Kislev is a Yom Tov, is a Chassidish Yom Tov. Many years later, on Taka Yites Kislev 5,559, L'Shayshis Ma'berayshis, at 1798, Reb Shnei Zalman, the Balatanya, was freed from the Tsarist prison after spending 53 days on false treason charges. And Chassidim saw this as a sign from Hashem, from Shemaim, to spread Chassidus openly for the righteous, for the tzaddikim. The day they return their neshama in purity is a Yom Tov. And the Maggid wanted his disciples to rejoice with him on this day and not to mourn. However, my condolences to the family that they lost their loved one today. The Mashbaki was a great tzaddik as well. Obviously, if he spent in the oil of tzaddikim, I would say. Shem. And with that, my friends, may all these tzaddikim this tzaddik and obviously the Maggid of Mezrich, their souls be a Ma'alet Yosha for all of us down here. And Hashem should help that we should stay informed and stay on edge with Mesilas Toivus. The next segment should be Mashiach came. And a happy day to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Your daily report of the news of the last 24 hours, powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.